This is Nick.
This is Jack.
It's Friday, the real Friday, October 14th, and today's pod is the best one yet. It's the best pod we've ever done, Jack.
Yeah, it is. This is a T-boy.
Oh, but stocks, they surged yesterday for one of their best days of the year.
The Dow jumped 900 points Thursday after dropping early in the day.
And the reason is...
kind of related to one of our stories,
but nobody really knows?
Nobody really knows why stocks jumped yesterday.
What's our first story?
Tom Brady, Brené Brown, and a major hedge fund all just bought pickleball teams.
Pro pickleball teams. But will we see in pickleball what we already saw in crypto?
For our second story, the monthly inflation report shows an even worse 40-year high than before.
All right, Yetis, when Jack says inflation, take a shot of overpriced orange juice. That's the game.
And our third and final story, TripActions just hit a $9 billion valuation to corporatize your corporate travel.
TripActions wins if markets are up, but they win if markets are down. How'd they pull that one off?
Must be nice.
In this economy?
But Yetis, before we hit that wonderful mix.
Honestly, the best mix before a weekend, man. I love it.
We got some serious drama in the candy aisle.
Yetis, we got some craziness in the cookie jar.
We're talking, of course, about the chocolate bunny debacle.
Ah, that big chocolate bunny, Jack. It is an Easter staple in your basket.
Because St. Peter was a rabbit.
Yeah, so you nibble his nose and then you eat away at the ears. That's how you eat it.
But get this, the Swiss just ordered that all candy companies must destroy all their chocolate bunnies in their inventory.
We're looking at you, Nestle. We're looking at you, Kit Kat. And don't go anywhere, Cadbury. They want you to burn those bunnies.
Because the Swiss chocolate brand Lindt invented the chocolate bunny.
Ipso facto, Lindt is the Willy Wonka of chocolate bunnies.
And apparently Lindt has a trademark on chocolate shaped like a rabbit.
Yeah, that adorable indulgence, they've got a trademark on it.
It belongs to Lindt.
And Lindt doesn't want you baking your own bunnies.
So the Swiss courts threw away their history of neutrality and just ruled that only Lindt can sell chocolate bunnies.
Anyone else making cocoa bunnies, you must melt them immediately.
Seriously, if you got a cocoa bunny from last year you haven't eaten yet, go stick it in a safe to keep that safe.
It's a cocoa bunny crackdown out there, people. Protect your cocoa bunnies.
If you're out this weekend and you come across a chocolate bunny...
talk to me, Jack. What are you thinking?
It doesn't matter if you're hungry.
Jack, what are you going to do if you see that chocolate bunny?
You got to eat that thing.
Because, besties, if you don't, the Swiss government will.
Let's hit our three stories.
Happy National Dessert Day.
15 years before this song, two boys from the Northeast met in the dorm. They had an idea that caused a cultural storm. It's the best one yet, but the best is the norm. Jack, Nick, that's it. I don't even think they need to practice. 50%, that's a fat tip. T-Boy City on your at list. If you know, you know, cause we ready to go. We can't wait no more, so just start the show. Start the show.
For our first story,
Nick, hold on. You just stepped in the kitchen.
I did. I stepped in the kitchen. I did
You
that
stepped
again.
in the kitchen.
It was an error. It was my fault. Let me hit it again. Jack, LeBron James, Tom Brady, and a major hedge fund all just bought professional pickleball teams.
Are we hitting peak pickleball?
Are we hitting it, Jack?
It feels like this pickle could pop.
Jack, all right. When you call your mom, it's like, hey, Jennifer, what is she saying?
It's actually my father-in-law. They can't stop telling me about their latest matchup against Linda, Susan, and Diane.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know, Maureen showed up late. She's got a weak left hand, so we dropped her from the pickleball team.
Pickleball, Yetis, it's disrupting America's tennis courts.
Like literally, people are painting new lines and destroying tennis courts. It's physically disrupting them.
Let me back you up to 1965.
Beep, beep, beep.
That's when pickleball was invented. It's tennis, but you won't pull a hammer.
It's a smaller court, so you can have that pregame drink and you can still perform admirably.
The MVP goes to Negroni Nick.
Jack, I did play a game on Nantucket once with a lobster roll in one hand and a dark and stormy in the other.
Did Nantucket Magazine do a profile on you? Because that's pretty fantastic.
I'm not even going to tell you what I did with the paddle. Yetis. But Yetis, here's the new milestone. Pickleball has gained some very serious audience in just 2 years.
And where there are eyeballs, there will eventually be dollars too.
Yeah, that's what we say. So there are now, get this, 5 million registered players of pickleball in the United States. That is up 39% since before the pandemic.
It's the fastest growing sport in the United States, according to every newsletter that tells us this.
Yeah, now, Gen Z, yeah, they've got TikTok. Millennials and everyone else, we've got pickleball.
Grandma can play too.
Yeah, that's the key.
Oh, yeah.
Now, here's what Jack and I have found shocking about pickleball, Yetis. Pickleball is creating its own economy. Money is flowing in, and it's flowing in from private and public markets.
Nick, is this right? Skechers, the shoe company, signed a couple of professional pickleball players to a shoe deal?
According to our research, that is right. Jack, is this right? Apparently, Costco mentioned pickleball paddles in their latest earnings.
Oh, yeah, it's happening.
But Yetis, here's what Jack and I have noticed about the flow of money. The big money isn't in selling stuff. No, the big money is in centralizing stuff.
Enter the professional pickleball league known as Major League Pickleball.
Major League Pickleball.
The old MLP.
That is the big money. Actually, I guess it's the new MLP, Jack. Now it's...
Oh, yeah, it's the new MLP.
And within the MLP, Major League Pickleball, there are a bunch of sports teams. And sports teams, those are basically ego trophies for the ultra-rich.
Yeah, for some reason in America, there's always been one major sports league.
Always.
And for some reason, those professional leagues, they're limited to 32 teams. That's the maximum number of teams you can have.
Basically, sports leagues are just scarcity and monopolies. It's like an economic petri dish. It's perfect.
Which leads to this news. Major League Pickleball just added 4 new expansion teams.
All right, we're talking new team owners. Jack, who we got?
The new ones are Tom Brady and Kim Clijsters. But you also got LeBron James, Brené Brown, Gary Vee. It's an all-star cast.
Hey, some of these are podcasters, not too shabby. Oh, and then, Jack, you've even got Wall Street involved. How about that hedge fund, Nighthead Capital?
They just bought a team too, and they say that they're approaching their pickleball team ownership very seriously, like it's a business, unfortunately.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Get ready for price hikes on those iced teas.
I'm sure Nighthead Capital is going to love having your Aunt Susan on the team.
They're going to start selling collateralized nugget obligations.
Jennifer brought lemonade. As long as it's below cost, we're cutting costs on the team. Now, besties, because there is only one major league per sport, and because there are only 32 teams per league, Jack, what does it cost to own a team these days in Major League Pickleball?
A Major League Pickleball team is selling for millions of dollars.
We repeat, this is a league that didn't exist a few years ago. Now they're selling $1 million assets.
You thought it was a joke when we said Major League Pickleball? They're selling for 7 digits per team.
Sit down, stand up, and stretch out the hammies. So this brings us to the big question. And what is that question, Jack?
Does this mean we've hit peak pickleball? Is the pickle about to pop?
So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies with paddles playing pickleball?
Pro pickleball looks a lot like crypto right now.
All right, Yetis, professional pickleball teams. They went from hobby to $1 million teams in just 2 years. The teams were $0, then millions.
Powered by celebrities, FOMO, and a sense of scarcity.
All right, interesting. Well, there's only one other asset we've seen in the same time frame move just like that lately, and that asset is NFTs and crypto.
Remember the Bored Ape Yacht Club?
Totally, Jack.
Selling for $300,000 or more?
$300,000 for a digital picture of an ape.
Well, those prices are down by 75%.
Well, Major League Pickleball, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club, is probably here to stay. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
But this may just be the latest celebrity-fueled FOMO investment.
It may not be peak pickleball, but it feels like a pro pickleball bubble. For our second story, we got some celebrity news. The most important economic report out these days just came out. It's the inflation report.
Unfortunately, we just hit an even worse 40-year high than before.
Oh, Jack, we're supposed to be spending less, but we're not.
Yetis, 2 months ago, we said the monthly inflation report had become a celebrity.
I mean, basically, the inflation report has replaced the jobs report as the must-read sign of our economy's health. It's page 6.
It's a financial Kardashian.
Yeah, Jack and I, we jump into the inflation report like we're paparazzi. We're just looking for those juicy details.
And I'll tell you, we're going to need an IV after reading this latest report.
I heard the inflation report and Brad Pitt met up in L.A. last week.
Yetis, in September, prices on average in this economy were up 8.2% from last year.
I know Jennifer Aniston's a listener, but we just got to say it if we see it. But Jack and I should sprinkle on a little context here. That inflation 8.2% jump, that's not as high as some previous months over the last year.
But core inflation.
Ooh, core inflation. Good point, Jack.
Core inflation was worse than previous months.
Yetis, we should be talking about core inflation because core inflation, it's different than your typical inflation.
Core inflation is the price of stuff that went up if you don't include energy or food.
And the price of stuff that went up, if you don't include energy or food, those prices went up by their most in 40 years.
Now, we are glad to see that the price at the pump has come down.
Yeah, it's great. Gas prices are down.
Even chicken wings have chilled out. in their price hikes.
Go to Olive Garden and enjoy a night out.
But yet these food and gas, those are volatile. So economists like to exclude them and look at just the price of the more stable stuff in our economy.
The stable stuff, the core stuff, the stable stuff. For example, flight prices.
Airfare.
Flight prices jumped 43%. That's supposed to be stable, but airfare jumped 43%.
How about health insurance? The price of health insurance is 28% higher than last year.
Pet food, you're paying the same for kibbles and bits, except you're not. Pet food jumped 14% from last year.
Because puppy. Even sewing machines were up a shocking 11% compared to last year.
People ultimately prioritize puppies. Yeah.
Yet these core inflation, it's supposed to be the stable stuff.
Stable.
But that stable stuff has been stably increasing in price.
Oh, yeah, it has. The economy, it isn't just coughing inflation these days. We just saw the signs of internal injuries.
Yeah, 8.2% internal injuries.
Take a shot of that overpriced orange juice. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies who are everyone in the economy?
We are not listening to the Fed. So the Fed is going to scream even louder.
All right, Yetis, every economic indicator is showing that we keep making inflation worse because we keep spending.
Pepsi just announced that they jacked up soda prices last quarter, but we keep paying for it.
Landlords just said that they raised rent 7% nationwide, but we keep signing leases.
So the Federal Reserve has one tool to stop us from spending so much. One tool to stop prices from rising so much.
And that tool is interest rates.
The Fed keeps raising interest rates so that it's more expensive for us to borrow and spend money.
Well, that's what the Fed has been doing to stop inflation. But this latest inflation report makes one thing clear.
The Fed is about to crank up interest rates even more.
The Fed's gonna scream louder at us until we stop spending so much.
Now, a word about our sponsor, Robinhood.
A lot of Yetis don't realize how much prep work goes into this pod.
We spend hours every morning jumping in T-Boy style to earnings reports, CEO tweets, breaking news headlines.
Yeah, Jack and I are toggling tabs like you toggled IM convos in 2004.
Having 8 tabs open can be stressful. You don't need that, especially when investing.
Robinhood offers it all in one app.
Whether you want to trade options, ETFs, or stocks through Robinhood Financial,
Or you want to buy some Bitcoin on Robinhood Crypto.
you can do it all on the Robinhood app.
If you're not investing in Robinhood yet, to get started, go to Robinhood.com/Tboy and choose your free stock.
That's Robinhood.com/TBOY. Limitations apply.
Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. All investments involve risk.
By the way, this podcast is not owned or part of Robinhood, and we are not employees of Robinhood.
For our third and final story before the weekend, TripActions is prepping to IPO, but in the meantime, they just got a huge venture capital check.
TripActions is still growing because it speaks both bull and bear.
All right, Jack, how about we start this in the airport lounge over by gate 43B? That work for you?
All Polaris class business travelers may now board the airplane.
All business class passengers, please have your boarding pass available. Yeti's Delta just announced earnings, and that Delta earnings, it had an interesting theme.
Business. That's the theme. Business travel fueled their profits last quarter.
Business travel, it got crushed during the pandemic. People thought it wasn't going to come back.
Right. But Delta just said it has mostly come back. They're at 80% of their pre-pandemic business class levels.
Well, perfect timing, Jack, because more of that business class travel is apparently getting booked with a company called TripActions.
TripActions is the corporate concierge for business trips.
Besties, TripActions just raised $154 million. They are now valued at $9 billion.
Because business travel is bouncing back, but it looks a little different.
It does look a little different, Yetis. Like the new business travel, it has a theme. The theme of the new business travel, it's,
no cheating.
yeah, you're not going to get away with it.
Don't even think about it.
You're going to put the 2 martini, 3 dozen oyster lunch on the corporate card.
Good luck.
And we're seeing that with the TripActions product. It is a software that lets employees book the trip, but you have to book the business trip within TripActions.
And since you have to book within TripActions, that means the boss gets to set all the rules he or she wants.
The new world of business travel is letting companies set dozens of corporate spending limits for that corporate travel for your business trip.
A taxi ride may not be more than $20. You may not travel business unless it's across the ocean.
Yeah, you can go to Kansas City, but not if you stop in St. Louis.
Funny you mentioned that because Kansas City hotels, $200 max. St. Louis, $300.
Jack, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but don't even think about using that T-Boy corporate card to drop $601 at the Ritz.
No.
Carol in accounting? Yeah, she's going to notice.
Because TripActions will simply block you from booking it because it's $1 over the corporate spending limit.
Oh, now here's the shocking thing, Yetis. It's not just a software product. TripActions also created this company card that incentivizes employees to save business money during the trip.
Let's say Carol says your company has a $200 a night policy for hotels in Oakland.
Yeah, so you text your buddy Timmy and you're like, hey, I'm traveling to the Bay Area, and he maybe invites you to crash on his pad.
Timmy's like, my couch is luxurious. Come on over.
Yeah, we all know our buddy Timmy's couch is not as nice as that 4-star hotel. But now TripActions is letting you split the savings if you stay with your buddy Timmy.
Since you didn't stay at a hotel, you saved the company $200. And guess what? They're going to split those savings between you and the company. You get $100 and the company still saves $100 too.
So the new world of business travel kind of sucks. So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at TripActions?
When you speak both bull and bear, your direction is up.
Here's what Jack and I noticed, Yetis. When our economy is doing well, TripActions speaks bull.
TripActions is going to tell their client, hey, you're a growing company. You're sending salespeople across the country. This is what we do.
And when the economy is doing poorly, TripActions just switches over to speaking bear.
It's a tough economy. You have to save costs on travel. This is what we do.
Okay, so TripActions is letting your company splurge in a bull market, but they're incentivizing employees to save in a bear market.
TripActions knows how to speak when the economy is doing well and badly, in a bull market and a bear market.
And when your marketing speaks bull and bear, you hit a $9 billion valuation. Jack, can you whip up the takeaways for us for the new Friday? Oh, wait, the real Friday.
Pickleball, the game, is popping. But the pickle investment, is it about to pop?
Yeah, pro pickleball kind of reminds us of NFTs and crypto.
For our second story, inflation has chilled a tad, but core inflation is even worse.
So the Fed is probably going to, actually, the Fed is definitely going to yell at us even louder.
They want us to stop
They're
spending.
going to scream.
Our third and final story is TripActions. The business is booming because business travel is getting regulated.
When you speak bull and bear, the direction is up. Now, time for the best fact yet. This one sent in by legendary Yeti Savannah Westwood from lovely Orlando.
Sadly, it turns out dessert is not a profit puppy.
We all love dessert, but apparently not restaurant owners.
Because most people aren't willing to pay that much for a dessert.
Yeah, like you'll cap it. You're not going to spend more than $25. I would, but you're not going to spend more than $25 on dessert.
So margins are low for dessert. But if you do order dessert, you're going to tend to stay around the table and occupy for like another half hour.
So not only is the restaurant not making much money on dessert, then you hang on the table and they can't turn it over to make more money on a new table.
So people love desserts.
Yeah.
But the restaurant industry doesn't love desserts.
Ipso facto, if you see a chocolate bunny today, eat that chocolate bunny.
And the next time you're at the Olive Garden, take your dessert to go. They'll love you for it.
Yetis, you looked fantastic all week. Happy National Dessert Day. And remember, eat a cake. We'll see you Monday.
Yeah, we will.
And before we go, good luck to Yeti's Stephanie and Brian, who are running their first half marathon together in Detroit.
The only race in North America that crosses the international border twice.
And a good luck to Molly Caldwell, who's running 2 half marathons back to back, also known as a full marathon.
13.1. 13.1.
And Michael and Emily Seiden from the Upper West Side are getting married on Long Island. And a happy birthday and congrats on the new job to Jonathan DeArmas over in Raleigh, North Carolina.
And happy 30th to Kristen Wolf in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And Army legend Tommy Moran is turning 25 in Hope Hills, North Carolina.
And happy birthday to E. Monson in Viera, Florida.
And Sarah Nuslin, it's her birthday at the Kellogg School of Management over at Northwestern.
And happy birthday to Denim Dan. Tim Tam, who is wearing denim on his birthday in Vancouver.
And Josh, the skateboarder baker, happy birthday in Gilbert, Arizona.
And happy 39th to Chance Kramer at a beer fest over in Missouri. This is Jack. Nick and I both own stock of Robinhood. Now, a word about our sponsor, Robinhood.
A lot of you listen to our show while you're driving.
2 hands on the wheel. Keep it 10 and 2.
You might be cruising, Chris. No rush. Stay in the right lane.
Or you might be Darlene from Duncan, dotting from lane to lane.
Yeah, there are different drivers on the road. they're different investors too.
Maybe you're cruising down the long-term lane with stock investing, or maybe you're a more advanced full-speed trader.
Well, the Robinhood app helps put you in the driver's seat wherever you're at in your investing journey.
If you're not investing on Robinhood yet, to get started, go to Robinhood.com/TBoy and choose your free stock.
That's Robinhood.com/TBOY. Limitations apply.
Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. All investments involve risk.
By the way, this podcast is not owned by or part of Robinhood, and we are not employees of Robinhood.